So you have to fulfill that expectation or that emotion through that engagement, right? And what's one of the ways to do it? How you handle objections, right? So number two is rebuttals. Rebuttals are so much overlooked. Real professional salespeople, the rebuttals are already part of the selling process. What do I mean by that? They can anticipate what people's objections will be and what's acceptable and not. What's a real objection or what's an objection that they're just trying to get rid of you in some way, in some form, right? But rebuttals, I call them weapons, but they're part of the conversation. They're part of the engagement. So once you get people engaged and they're emotionally involved by what you say and how you say it, you got to fulfill that. It's like a movie, right? You watch a trailer, you watch a little clip, you get hooked on that clip. You can't wait to see the movie when it comes out in theater or it's something that's promoted by Netflix or whatever, right? That emotion has to be fulfilled when you watch the movie, right? So when you get people engaged and they're engaged with you, how you handle their questions, how you handle their attitudes, how you handle and deal with their mindset and their objections with rebuttals. And rebuttals is another level of engagement. What do I mean? It's like playing tennis, right? Or boxing. Somebody throws a jab, you got to be smarter, you got to know your opponent, and you may do a counter punch, right? Or 1, 2, 3, whatever the case may be. I don't consider prospects my opponent, but I'm just giving you an analogy. That makes sense? So if you understand rebuttals, then you understand how valuable it is and what does it fulfill. So rebuttals fulfill three things in my experience. Okay. Number one, what a rebuttal does, if you handle it right, it increases your value more than you realize. But here's what it does. It diffuses the objection that might have not been a real objection. And when you diffuse that, then you and the prospect can really have a conversation. You can set the tone and lead them towards the end of the movie, which is the relationship, right? So rebuttals eliminate and diffuses objections. What else does it do? And this all happens. So what it does is, the second thing is this. It accomplishes value. It increases your value. Because of the way you dealt with them, right? Let's say you know that the objection they're giving you is a BS objection. They're just trying to get you off the phone. They're trying to appease you. They're trying to do these things. Well, first of all, you shouldn't let it happen. Okay? So when you're able to deal with them, that increases your value, especially if they're not used to people dealing with them like that. I'll give you an example. When I deal with real estate people, right? The problem with real estate agents is they don't know how to handle objections from the seller. So, for example, if a seller tells me, I don't need or want a real estate agent. Well, I have a rebuttal that diffuses that. I understand how you feel. I felt the same way about agents before I became one. You know what I found out? There's some great agents out there. I work really hard to become that great agent. If it's said right, right? Now they're engaged, you increase your value, right? You diffuse the objection. And what's the third thing that happens automatic from that? You start to transition into storytelling. That's what you do. And it's a shame a lot of people not being taught how to handle objections. Objections, I love objections. They're the most valuable thing any prospect can do for me because it allows me to get them to buy into me sooner than later. That makes sense? Now, what's the third thing?
When I get asked, Paul, what do you do? My answer is very simple. I solve sales problems, period.